Welcome to the Cronometer Overview, where we're going to be going over one of the most important tools that you could leverage as it relates to changing your body's composition. If you want to lose belly fat, this is going to be an amazing tool that's going to save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on lab testing, on supplementation, and a whole host of other things that, frankly, most people just don't need. But rather than taking the time to go through and actually examine what we're doing against what we're looking for and what we're getting from a result, a lot of people just jump to straight to the quick fixes. And what we're looking for in this specific platform are the things that you are going to most benefit from when it comes to the nutritional value of your food choices, as well as any supplements or anything like that. So, long story short, nutrition tracking is super important because at the end of the day, we're constantly playing against science and we can't just abracadabra turn body fat into muscle tissue. Unfortunately, that's not how things work because we have to obey the law of physics, which just means that we can't turn something into something else. We can't take this laptop, this MacBook, and we can't turn around and turn it into, a cell phone or a pigeon. Like, obviously, that stuff just doesn't make sense. And so when we understand that at the core of everything, either if we're eating less than what we need to keep ourselves exactly the way we are right now, we're going to lose weight. If we eat more than what we need to maintain ourselves exactly as we are right now, then we're going to gain weight. And so the body's pretty cool with how it will literally change your hormones, change your brain chemistry, the opportunity to dive into exactly what it is that you're eating. And it's going to go beyond a lot of the traditional MyFitnessPal stuff or some of the other subpar tracking things that currently exist. I will say that it's currently 2025 at the recording of this. So there may be something better in the future. However, as of right now, they have the most comprehensive nutrient database out of any other tracking software that I'm aware of. So just keep in mind, something else might be cheaper, something else might be more effective in terms of macronutrients or how they display the information. But as of current day, this is definitely going to be one of your better solely nutrition awareness and tracking platforms. So if you look over here on your left, you're going to see that there's a dashboard. If you're looking on your app, this is probably going to be somewhere else. I'm looking at this on the computer because that's where I'm able to record these screen recordings. Every single one of these functions is going to be the same on your phone. You just may have to dig for it a little bit. So bear with me here because the screen record function actually wasn't great on my phone. It wouldn't record audio. So that's why we're here right now. Now, first things first, you'll see that you have a dashboard. And I believe that if you look at the top of your screen on your phone, it'll actually list a lot of the same things over here, but left to right. So if you see there's an energy history, nothing really matters necessarily in terms of this specific dash or display as of right now, except for maybe some weight changes, right? That'll be something that you want to reference in the future. We generally suggest before we get any further into what the app does, how to leverage it, you should be doing an in-body on the weekly basis or some kind of body composition assessment at a bare minimum if you are trying to change your weight. If you're just trying to change your performance, maybe you want to run a mile faster, cool, you don't need to weigh yourself. If you don't really care what you look like from a body composition perspective, or you're not trying to change your body fat and your muscle tissue and whatever else as it relates to what you look like or what you can do, no need to actually do the weight stuff, right? You want to measure things that are actually going to be meaningful and valuable. And if you haven't had a consultation with a professional yet, make sure you get in touch with someone that's going to help you reduce all the noise of the things that you really don't want to necessarily listen to or pay attention to that might confuse you. So, all that to say, if we look at number one here, this is going to be your diary. So, oh, looks like this is actually my stuff. That's fun. So one of the things you can do in this app is you can integrate a lot of different health wearables, and I strongly encourage you to do that. I currently have my Whoop hooked in, and I have my Apple Watch hooked in. So you'll see here that every single day, it'll actually populate the information, usually pretty early in the morning, it looks like, what exactly happened. So like today, I went for a 30-minute run, which is pretty cool. And then I did some pull-ups after that. So all that to say, it actually tracks the majority of things that your wearables will also track. Your HRV, which is how well your body's recovering in general from everything, from your life stress, your work stress, your fitness stress, your nutrition stress. It's a really good overall thing to measure when it comes to how well your body is changing outside of your weight. Now, all that to say, You can see here that there are different things that outside of what it'll populate, you can actually log. And this is where you want to really pay attention to actually inputting various foods. So for instance, for tonight, I had some rice. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the simplest thing if I don't know what it is. Rice, long grain. I don't even know if that's what it was. So I'm just going to select that. If you want to get super specific, you can. I generally suggest that most people, when you're starting to track your food, actually don't get specific at all. You literally just type in whatever you had. If there's a brand name, cool. If it pops up, cool. If it doesn't, just pick the first thing because we're just trying to help you make some kind of sense of what it is you're eating, right? Now, I know exactly what kind of rice I had. I know how much I had, but just for the sake of right now, I'm going to pretend that I don't. I'm going to pretend this is my first time. And I'm going to pretend that I'm a little intimidated and nervous that someone's going to judge my food choices that's watching this. Because by and large, that's what most people usually will feel, right? So long grain, white rice off. All right, now time of day, you can put that in there, generally speaking. As you get more advanced and as you get more time to sit there and think and you understand chrononutrition, which is the science of actually timing your nutrition, it might make more sense. But for right now, again, don't worry about it. Diary group, you can lump it under one of your meals. You can create whatever names you want for the other stuff. Let's not worry about it too much. But the important part here is the serving size. So I know that I had 350 grams of white rice, right? Now, it's actually jasmine rice, doesn't really matter. But as I change this, it actually is going to then change these numbers over here. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in the next meal, and we're going to talk about why this is important in the first place, which I had some short ribs. Right? Visible fat eaten. Sure. And then I had approximately 6 ounces of short ribs. Okay. And it's currently 10:55 p.m. So if you don't change this, it'll normally just timestamp whatever time you actually enter your food in there. No big deal. Right. And I can see the nutrition values over here. And you'll see that there's 80 listed ingredients, which is pretty cool if you care about that stuff. Now, I'm just going to stop right there for right now. I'm going to drag these where I want them. In this case, I had them for dinner. I could put them at breakfast, lunch. You can literally move them wherever you would like to. Just kind of helps you figure out what your split is from when you're eating. Doesn't really matter. And in fact, I'm just going to put them up here so they're not even categorized. Just showing you that function. Now, just based upon those two things, it'll tell me and it'll calculate the average amount of calories, and you'll see it denoted as KCAL or kilocalories. It doesn't mean anything. It's literally just a calorie, right? How many calories I burned. And what it'll try to do is it'll calculate the remaining, meaning the difference between what I consumed and what I'm supposed to be eating. So if you look over here, you'll see that I actually have some targets, right? And if you want to understand that, and oh shit, ooh, it doesn't exist apparently. That's awkward. I'm not gonna edit that out either. This is going on YouTube, so Cronometer, Spencer, tighten it up, buddy. Love you, mean it. But when we're looking at this, at the end of the day, everything you eat is going to kind of dump into this area. And these are what we call your energy or basically your macronutrients, right? So there's something called your total daily energy expenditure. If you're spinning out about this, don't worry about it. If you're doing the small group nutrition coaching stuff, we will talk about this in the first session. I'm just giving you an overview of where to find everything. So that way when we're button pushing on the first day that comes around, you'll have a solid understanding of where to even look for the things that we're talking about. But your energy, if you care about how much you weigh, you need to manage your calories. We mentioned earlier, if you eat less calories than what your body needs to keep itself where it is, you're going to lose weight, right? If you eat more calories than what your body needs to keep it where it is, you're going to gain weight. And at the end of the day, all a calorie is just a unit of energy. So if you've ever heard the term watts, kind of like joules, right? 4.184 joules is 1 calorie. And that's basically just how much energy it takes to raise some water by 1 degree Celsius. That's really it. It literally is just energy. Okay. So do you think that you'd be able to keep the lights on upstairs in your brain? Probably not. And so that's why it's so important. And you'll notice that when you don't eat enough, you're going to feel tired. And most people will actually reach for more caffeine. And that caffeine will then contribute to being more fatigued later because the caffeine actually doesn't stop, or excuse me, it doesn't help you feel and actually have more energy. It just blocks how tired you feel. So you have to keep that in mind. It's like spending money on a credit card that you don't really have. eventually the bill is going to come due. So you want to make sure that you're fueling yourself appropriately so that we can train hard and your body will actually change. Right? Now, protein, carbs, and fats, these are what we call macronutrients. Macro meaning big, nutrients, exactly what it means, things that your body needs to maintain normal function. And so your protein, very loosely, is going to be the building blocks that make everything you see. It literally helps you make DNA, right? So when you think about your hair, and a lot of protein deficiency symptoms can look like brittle nails, it can look like brittle hair, it can look like hair falling out, it can look like a lot of excessive soreness after exercise. There's a lot of signs and symptoms of missing nutrients, and there's also signs and symptoms of having too much, such as constipation, gas, bloating, right? Those are just some common ones. And so the idea is that we're always looking at what you're feeling and what you're noticing, the same way that we're looking at your nutrient intake here to determine what we want to change and what levers we want to pull to have you feel your best. So if protein is one of your three macronutrients, which they also have another one that's not listed here, it's called water. And that's probably the most important nutrient because you can go about 3 days without water and you will die. You can go about 2 to 3 weeks without food before you actually have, substantive risk of mortality. So keep that in mind. We always want to prioritize water. And we'll talk about that, I think, in week 2 here if you're in the nutrition challenge. Right? If you're not, hit me up and we'll find a way to get you some educational information. Protein makes everything you see. If you feel shitty, might be protein, right? Carbs and fats effectively are your energy resources. Carbs are like a faster source of energy. Fats are a slower source of energy. Basically, all you need to know about that. Now, there's another thing that fats do as well, though, is that they keep everything healthy. When I say healthy, I mean like you think about moisturizer in your skin, right? If you have dry skin, that's something that actually might be indicative of potentially poor phospholipid stuff. And so when you think about having inadequate amounts of dietary fat, sometimes that can manifest as stuff like dry skin. So, just make sure you get enough of these things. Now, if you don't put something in there, the Cronometer will, generally speaking, ask you your height, your weight, a couple other things when you sign up, and it'll actually auto-calculate these for you, depending upon if you want to gain weight, if you want to lose weight, how quickly you want to have those things happen. If you are doing the nutrition workshop, don't worry about it. We're literally going to calculate those for you, and we're going to walk you up or down one way or the other. Okay, so we'll take care of all that. You just need to know where to find these specific values, right? Now, this is where Cronometer has the most value, hands down, across any nutrition coaching app, right? Or any kind of nutrition tracking app, I should say. You can literally see how many different macronutrients, micronutrients, and when I say micronutrients, if macro means big, things that you usually need in larger quantities, micronutrients can be things that you need in smaller quantities. And that might be something like a vitamin or a mineral, right? So that's where if you wanted to know, am I having enough vitamins and minerals? Well, I don't know. I took a multivitamin. So let's just go back up here for a second and we're going to say one a day multi. Gummies, that's crazy that those are the first one. I don't know, one a day adult immunity. Okay, we're going to add that to the diary. So now God damn, they're literally fucking gummies. That's crazy. Anyways, that's fine. You take your gummies from Costco, cool. So let's scroll down here, right? I just wish I could get this thing to go away. There we go. Now, so what it's saying is obviously I didn't gain too many calories. I went up 10. But what should have happened is that I saw a boost in my micronutrients, which are literally the vitamins and minerals that this thing provides. I hate that it keeps asking me that. So if you're seeing that, I'm so sorry. But let's just do this. I'm going to delete the select entry. And all we're going to have you do is pay attention to what those numbers. Remember, it was just at 71% and it was at 55%, right? Command Z won't let me do it. It's fine. All right, whatever. So now you'll see, again, it jumped up about 50%. This literally jumped 1%. So this is why when you're doing nutritional supplementation, you want to make sure that most people, let me back up for a second, most people will take a supplement like a multivitamin and they'll think, I'm covered. Okay, well, it actually didn't do anything for my minerals. And now you might be wondering, well, Andrew, what do minerals do? And this is why this platform is so beneficial, is because when you click on that, you're like, well, what the fuck is a mineral? It'll literally tell you essential minerals are elements that you need in small amounts. And then you're like, okay, well, like what? Iron, right? Magnesium, manganese. All these different things do little functions and little jobs inside your body. And when you don't have them, those jobs oftentimes get very strained and eventually they can't happen at all. So when you read like manganese here, which is something that most people don't realize is something that they should be consuming, it helps form your bones and your connective tissue. So like your elbows, keeping those connected, your bicep tendon, right? All your joints. It's really important. And now, here's the interesting part too. It's also involved in having you break down macronutrients like carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. If you don't have enough manganese, you're going to have a jacked up metabolism. Now, the other thing too is I'm sure that you've probably heard the term inflammation, and that is intended to basically, help you clear out pathogens and crazy stuff. It's your body's way of like cleaning stuff out, right? That's an inflammatory response. Um, and so if you want to go look up eicosanoids, prostaglandins, stuff like that, if you roll an ankle, for instance, and you see it swell and it gets red, what's happening is your body's just kind of vasodilating, sending these things down there and opening up those blood vessels to get more blood in the area, get more nutrients, and get like kind of the cleanup crew to start healing that tissue. Well, basically what manganese does is it helps make sure that that doesn't run rampant by damaging other cells. If you think about what says free radicals here, which I can't move the cursor, so forgive me, but it says detoxify free radicals. So when you think about free radicals, like it's basically stuff that causes rusting on the inside of your body. And that's a very simplistic explanation. It doesn't happen in large amounts, but you do want to have these little cleanup crews with these different people that do different jobs or different micronutrients in lieu of people that do these jobs. And if you don't know where to find them, it tells you. You can find this in coffee, cereals, brown rice, chia seeds, quinoa, zucchini, peppers, liver, right? Because we don't necessarily want to just have to take a supplement. Maybe you actually enjoy liver like a psychopath, or maybe you really like coffee or something like that. And so this will tell you what the mineral or the micronutrient or the macronutrient is, and it'll tell you where to find it. So let's go back up here for a second. Protein. Actually, it doesn't look like it says that. Anyways, so you get the point. It'll tell you where to find the stuff, electrolytes, immune support, bone health, right? All these ones are implicated in bone health. Most people were like, well, what's phosphorus? Okay. Helps you structure your bones, teeth. Acid base balance doesn't mean much to most people. DNA, right? So that's helpful. Where do you find it? Milk, meat, and fish. So pretty cool, right? So now you can start to look at all this stuff. You can see that, oh, wow, my fat, I had 121% of what I should have, but I only had 3% of the fiber that I should have had today. Well, that should then start to explain maybe why people are feeling so constipated or why whatever, right? And so everything that you're doing or not doing, everything that you're feeling has some kind of contributing factor or causative factor that's causing you to feel that thing, or at least making it so that it's pretty noticeable. And this is a great tool in terms of the Cronometer app of you going in there, putting in the things that you're doing from a food perspective and trying to relate that to the outcomes that you're getting. If you're eating 4,000 calories a day and you're gaining weight, at that point, you know that maybe 4,000 calories is too many for you to lose weight. So maybe you try 3,000 calories, right? Maybe you do that for a week or two and you don't lose any weight. So maybe you go down to 2,000 calories and now you're not. Now you're like kind of losing some weight, right? So that's just, and I'm not saying that's how it should go. I'm just using a very hyperbolic, exaggerated example, right? Of like every two, maybe 2% changes week over week. Some people might make 10% changes. Really just depends on you and what you're looking to do. Now, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, yada, yada, yada. Calcium, pretty low. Well, why is that important? Well, it's really important for nerves, blood clotting, and everything else. So when you start to look at that, you're like, holy shit, I'm almost getting none of that. Well, that might help you explain why you're having these specific symptoms of what does muscle contraction look like. If you feel weak, you might actually just be mineral deficient in some way, and that can really clear up a lot of that. Right? Now I look at protein, look at all that stuff. That's pretty good. Now, overall, protein, so if you go here, what is it? Right? Provide structure for your body as skins, muscle, and collagen. Enzymes like your saliva, stuff like that, are needed to digest food. Proteins are hormones that send signals from one organ to another, right? So realistically, again, just about everything that you have on your body, in your body, is going to be comprised of a protein source. So where do you find that? Animal sources include meat, fish, eggs. Plant sources can include things like soy, beans, tofu, and peanuts. Although, generally speaking, those are going to be a little bit worse for the aging population. Early on, probably fine, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So this is your nutritional chronometer overview. If you want to go and see specific days, you can simply just go back and then you can get an idea of what that looks like. So for instance, on this day, I had 2,200 calories, right? 211 grams of protein, 242. And now I'm looking at this, but look at my vitamins. They're so low. Now I do actually supplement with something called Athletic Greens One myself. And I superset that sometimes and I alternate days with a multivitamin. So I'm going to say Athletic Greens. Let's see what this does. Hey, look at that. Brought my vitamins on up. So I won't get scurvy. But it does look like that is something that I definitely need to pay attention to as I'm showing you my own personal dashboard, right? So all that to say, if you don't like what you're getting from your body right now, whether it's how it looks, whether what it does and can do and perform, whether it's how you feel, there is going to be so much value in tracking your food to start to understand what is happening underneath the hood by the way of looking at what your nutrients, maybe some lack thereof, are actually doing to you. So I hope that helps. We'll see you guys on our first nutrition coaching session here in the next couple days. Otherwise, if you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel. We really love just seeing that you guys are finding this valuable enough to continue to watch. And I want to stay updated. We're going to be putting a lot more of this content up. So make sure you hit that little alert bell too so you know when the new content comes up. Otherwise, I got to chase you down and let you know. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.